Hey, I guarantee you're asking yourself one of these 5 questions we're gonna talk about in this video. You see, we talk to hundreds of people every single week, and every week, the questions are almost identical. So I wanted to do a video that addresses the top 5 questions that we hear and the answers that we would give, but it's not gonna be what you think. There's not just one answer that serves everybody. We're gonna talk about what's best for you, what framework works best to answer and solve your problems. Let's dive in. The first question I hear all the time is, should I pay off my mortgage? So let's unpack that, okay? Because this is not a simple question to just say yes or no to. Should I pay off my mortgage should never be the sole question, because that comes with lots of other questions that I would ask back, okay? You want to pay off your mortgage. That's one of your main goals. Why? Okay, and that comes with lots of different answers. But the other question I would ask is, do you have other debts like credit cards and car loans and student loans and so on and so forth? But let's get right back to paying off your mortgage. Do I think it's a good idea? Absolutely, but not for everybody. The reason I say that is if you understand how mortgages work, you understand that you're being screwed, and it's all by design. So let's go back to the COVID era when people were getting mortgages around 2 or 3%. Like, you would almost think somebody would be a fool to pay off a mortgage if their mortgage is locked at 3% for 30 years. Or even, let's make it better, 2.5% for 30 years. But here's the thing you gotta understand. You have to understand how amortization schedules work. You see, every mortgage is exactly the same. It is betting you will not stay in that house. And statistics will prove that you're not gonna stay in the house for longer than 7 to 10 years, or during that 7 to 10 years, which is the short-term debt cycle time frame, you're going to refinance the house. Now, that may not happen if you locked in at a 2.5 or 3% rate. But what certainly is happening, is, and it's in big bold print in your mortgage statement, is you are not actually paying 2.5 or 3% unless you pay your mortgage for the 30-year term. That's when you arrive at paying 2.5 or 3% or whatever your mortgage rate is. You have to pay the whole thing off because all the interest in those early years is front-loaded. So let me put it to you this way. In the first 7 years of your mortgage, you are actually probably giving anywhere between 60 and 85% of every payment to interest. So I think you just know logically, that's definitely not 2.5 or 3%. That's like 60, 70, or 80% that you're paying. It's the velocity of how the money works. And that is the most important thing to factor in. But the thing I always will tell people is your house is where you and your family live. When you look at debts, okay, that's probably not the one you want to try to tackle paying off first, because credit card debts and other high interest debts like car loans and whatever, there's a bunch of them. Those debts are far worse for you financially than your mortgage. But I would say if somebody had no debts and they were looking at their mortgage and they were in the first 10 years of their mortgage, would it make sense to pay their mortgage down? Yes. But would I make that their sole focus? No. I would make an extra payment, okay? Do payment bi-weekly. That'll pay your mortgage off in a lot less time. And if you ran the math, which you can easily do, you will find that by paying your mortgage off in 15 years versus 30 saves you a significant amount of interest. But here's the thing. If today was the day your house was paid off, would your life change? What would be different? Now, yes, you wouldn't have a mortgage payment, but you'd still have maintenance on the house. You'd still have utilities on the house. You'd still have property taxes, depending on where you're at in the country. I mean, I'm in New York. Our property taxes are stupid here. So your house will always be a liability, even though it's paid off. So paying your house off, does it materially change your life? The answer for almost every one of you would be no. It wouldn't. You'd have bragging rights. That'd be it. Oh, my house is paid off. Oh, I've got this much equity. But that equity doesn't translate to changing your life unless you tap into that hidden equity in the walls. Then the dynamic changes, but I don't want to go any deeper into this than that. Paying off your mortgage for most people should not be a primary goal. It can be a goal, but it certainly should not be one of the most pressing things that you're focused on, because if you're directing money there, that money is like going into a black hole. You're building equity, you're paying your mortgage down, but you're not changing your financial life. Let's move on to the next question. I think this one's the best question. People ask us all the time, should I pay my debt off or should I invest money? It's this magic question that comes up on so many calls, and it kind of baffles me sometimes because really the answer is just in the math. But somebody will have debts, and I know most people watching this video, you have debts, and that's okay. I think we all have lived or are living in a period of time where debt is kind of the norm, but it should not be accepted as the norm. Then they say, okay, should I pay my debts off or should I invest? Now, investing is that feel-good thing, right? When you invest money, it feels good. You feel like you're making forward progress. I don't care if that's in your 401k, in mutual funds, stocks, whatever. If you're investing, you feel like you're making forward progression, and that is really good because that's like a dopamine hit. Paying off debt doesn't really make you feel like you're getting ahead. It just feels like the grind, doesn't it? But I will tell you, depending on, and it's not going to be the same for everyone, so I want to make sure I don't generalize that you're all the same. But I do want to say, if we took all your debts, and here's how you do it. Take all your debts and add up the balances on all your debts. How much are you in debt, okay? You can even exclude the mortgage because we already covered that in question number 1. Then what I want you to do is I want you to add up all the interest rates. So let's just say you have 5 debts, and let's say those debts are 100K. Add up all the interest rates and divide them by the number of debts, in this case, 5. What is the average interest that you're giving away? Okay, let's call it 15%. And that would be the case. That'd be very common for us to find somebody that has an average interest rate of over 15% if they have lots of credit cards. And then I want you to look at the amount of your monthly payment from your income that is directed to these 5 debts. Those are the 3 things we did. Number 1, the total amount of debt. Then add up all the interest rates and divide it by the number of debts. Okay, that gives you your average interest rate. And then add up the monthly payment that's leaving your family forever. Now, let's translate that and let's do a comparison. So you have those numbers. Yours are going to be different, but let's just pretend the average interest rate is 15%. Your debts are $100,000 and you're giving away $2,000 a month to service those debts. Number 1, that's $2,000 gone from your family forever. No vacations, no extra living, no extra saving. It's just gone every single month, okay? So you've got a cash flow issue because you're leaking money. It's like a hole in a boat. You're giving away whatever your interest rate is, but let's just pretend that it's 15% average, okay? What would it take for you to make 15% investing money? Could you do that consistently and persistently in the stock market? The answer is no. You just couldn't. You're not going to make 15%. You're not going to make 12%, even though, some of the gurus out there have the magic mutual fund that says 12%. That doesn't exist. Okay? The markets go up, down. All investments involve risk. So therefore, by paying off debt, that is a risk-free return, and it's also a risk-free way for you to take cash flow back. Okay? So paying off debt is far more important than investing money for most of you watching this. Because if you're focused on investing, but yet you're still in debt, you're working against the grain. It'd be like getting in a river and fighting the current. It's much easier to swim with the current. So always, always do the math, and most of you pay the debt off first because the juice is not worth the squeeze for the investments. Now, if all your debts were paid off, with the exception of maybe your mortgage, then should you invest? Yes. If you have debts and you have a 401k and you get a match from your 401k, should you still invest in your 401k up to the match? Yes, in lieu of paying off your debts. Now, for some of you, I would probably advise against that, but always, if you have a 401k or a retirement plan where you get a match, put in up to the match. But if you're in debt, only up to the match. Retirement isn't priority over your debts because if you paid your debts off and you freed up that $2,000, that's $2,000 a month you could systematically dollar cost average into investments. That would put you much further ahead. So that's a very simple one. It's a mathematical equation. And 9 times out of 10, or I'd even say 9.9 times out of 10, you're better off paying your debt down systematically before investing any of the money outside of your 401k and the match. Those are the first 2 questions. And as you're going to see, each one of these questions, I've kind of put them in order because these are kind of the journey of life, your financial life. So the next question I'm going to go to revolves all around retirement. We get lots of questions about retirement. And one of the most common questions is, how much money would I need to retire? It's a very real question. A lot of people will come and they'll say, I want to retire. That's more of a statement, not a question, but they'll say, I want to retire someday. Great. At that day, if today was that day, how much income would you need to retire? And that's a question only you can answer. So if everything was the same, if today was the day you're retiring, how much income would you need to maintain your lifestyle, or potentially maybe ask a different question, live the lifestyle you want? Now, one of the things, let me do a little sidestep here. When I was a financial advisor, one of the things our consultants used to tell us, this is God's honest truth, they used to tell us that our clients will make less money in retirement. Now, that may be true, but that is not acceptable. That is not okay. And the reason they would say that is they'll be in a lower tax bracket when they retire. I'm going to tell you, if you think that way, or if you take that advice that you're going to make less in retirement than you do today, you are failing. You are planning to fail. So let's get back to the question. How much money do I need to retire? Well, that's a simple equation, but it's an equation that comes with many different solutions. So the simplest way is you could just take the withdrawal rate that is a standard used withdrawal rate, which is between 3 and 4%. Okay, that's the safe withdrawal rate. Now they've done study after study after study to say on an invested, portfolio of an invested retirement account, if you were to draw anything more than 4%, every percentage more than 4%, you're taking lots of risk of running out of money. Okay, so let's say it's 3 or 4%. Do the math. If you had $1 million in your retirement account and you took out 4% withdrawal rate, that's $40,000. Can you live on $40,000? Now, that isn't the end equation because that's just your withdrawal rate. So you got 40 there per $1 million. So how many million do you need? Is it 2 million for 80? Is it 3 million? You can do the math yourself. 4%, and I would even say go safer and use 3% as that withdrawal rate. Now, you can also factor in Social Security. And there might be, two of you. There might be a husband and a wife. So you got 2 Social Security incomes coming in. So factor that in. How much is that? $2,000 a month for each of you, $1,000 for one, $2,000 for another. We add that on. Are there any pensions that you had during your working years? Now, I'm sure a lot less of you have pensions because they're kind of a dying thing, but some of you may. State workers, federal workers, maybe you worked on the railroad, you might have a pension. So then we factor the pension into that. So remember, each million's worth $30,000 to $40,000 safe, okay? Then you've got your Social Security, whatever that is. Then you've also got a pension. What other income streams do you have? Is there any rental income that's going to be coming in? So we start adding all those. So when you ask, how much do I need to retire? It's not just a set dollar amount. We need to reverse engineer what it is you want to earn in retirement. And then we reverse engineer that by factoring out inflation. We factor out the Social Security income, and we can index that to COLI. Okay? There's a lot of different things that we need to play into that. So when you're thinking about it, it's just a reverse engineering of what you desire. And then we could come up with that dollar amount. And here's another thing. That could even be made easier. Let's say you're thinking about it and you've got $2 million saved up for retirement. And now you're running the math on the 3 or 4%. I think that's a huge mistake because the stock market is a great accumulation vehicle, but it is a terribly inefficient distribution model. It's not just me saying that, that's an industry known. So what if we took a portion of that $2 million retirement or whatever your number is, and we were to guarantee you an income stream that never ends for the rest of your life, that continues on for your spouse's life as well, and we could index that for inflation so that every year it's 3% more. Okay? Wouldn't that solve a lot of problems? Because now what we can do is we can say, all right, our fixed expenses are $5,000 a month, hypothetically. Great. So we need to guarantee $5,000 a month indexed for inflation for the rest of your life to cover your basic living expenses. You know how good you'd sleep at night? You'd sleep phenomenal because you know all of your basic expenses are fully covered with a guaranteed paycheck. Then on top of the guaranteed paycheck, maybe then we have invested dollars that we can take withdrawals, but we take them as needed. We have volatility buffer account, which could be a specially designed whole life policy that we could use when the markets are down and we need money. We take it from there so that we don't disrupt the invested assets by drawing them down when the markets are pulling back, okay? See, these are other things that can be done. These are all parts of planning a successful retirement. But there is not just one simple answer for how much you should have during retirement. It is an engineered equation. It is an engineered strategy, and we'd be happy to help you with that if you need help. But let's move on to the next question. The fourth question is actually a really simple one. Where should I put my money? That's what people ask. Where should we put our money? And this one is always very easy for me. We need to build a foundational level for every single client we talk to. And you already know where I'm going with this. Your foundational level should solve some really important problems. Number one, it should always put your money in control of you, okay? Not in control of the bank, not in control of Wall Street, in your control. When you need it, you can access it. Control of your money is the single most important thing. So, where should you put your money? I would start saying, okay, you should put your money in a place where you fully control it, in a place where it's going to earn guaranteed interest that will outpace inflation. And the average inflation rate is between 3.2 and 3.4. Yes, I know there's highs and there's lows, but that's the average, okay? So our money has to earn more than inflation. I would also say that place where you put your money should be tax efficient. In other words, if you could find a way to have your money grow tax-free, that's ultimate. I think it should be private and protected because you don't want someone coming in, suing you, and being able to take the money like they could your bank account. So when we boil down where you should put your safe money, your guaranteed money, your foundational money, I always say it should be in a place that allows you to become your own banker. And that is a specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy from a mutually owned company that pays dividends. Now, notice I did not say a normal whole life policy. I said a specially designed and engineered whole life policy because this is going to protect your family in the event of you passing away early. So we got the protection out of the way. It's private. Nobody needs to know about it. It's protected against judgments and liens in most states. It has a guaranteed contractual interest rate, and that interest rate for the companies we work with is between 2 and 3.75%. It also pays dividends because these are mutually owned companies, and if it's designed properly, which that's the only way we do them, it will maintain tax-free internal buildup of your cash value. So it is tax efficient. I can't think of any better place to put your money when it comes to foundational money. Because from there, you can build. You can take money from that specially designed whole life, you can invest it. You can take that money, you can finance your cars, you could finance your life, you could pay off debt, you could do all those things. That is the easiest answer I could give you, whether you believe it or not. And if you don't believe that's the place it should be, watch more of my videos and I'll give you another one at the end of this. Okay, let's keep going. Every single day, your money is losing ground. Inflation is eating your savings. Debt is draining your income. And the financial system, it was never designed to work for you. But there is a way out. And the wealthy have known about it for decades. I'm hosting a free live training where I'll show you exactly how to eliminate debt like the wealthy do, how to preserve and protect your capital from the forces working against it, and how to build a clear step-by-step path toward true financial freedom. No gimmicks, no fluff, just a proven system that puts you back in control of your financial future. Seating is limited and it is completely free, but you need to act now. Click the link below or scan the QR code to reserve your spot today. The wealthy don't wait, neither should you. Now let's get back into the video. And the last question we hear a lot about revolves around legacy. How much money should I leave my kids? What's the best way to pass money on to my kids? And here's the answer I give to everybody. Your legacy should not be based around the things that you own, the cars in the garage, the house that you live in, the money in the bank. Your legacy should be what you pass on that puts your kids in a better place to live a better life. So it's wisdom. It's really you teaching your kids the things you were never taught when it comes to money, or when it comes to life for that matter. But I know that's not what people want to hear. They just want to know what's the best way. Now, there are a lot of people out there that will tell you that you should pass on your 401k because it's a direct beneficiary, and your retirement accounts will pass on, and your kids will get the house, and your kids will get the car. And you know what? I've seen this because I've been doing this 23 years. When your kids get the house, when your kids get the car, you know what they're going to do? They're going to cherish the car for a couple of days, then they're going to sell it. They're going to sell the house. You worked so hard to maintain so that you could pass it on to your kids. The retirement's going to pass on to them, and they may or may not need the money, and then they're going to have to take required minimum distributions from it in most cases. They're going to be forced to take money out and pay taxes on that. That is not an efficient way to pass on a legacy. I like what Bruce Lee said about legacy. He said, don't focus on giving your kids all the things you never had. Focus on teaching your kids the things you never learned. And I think that's the most important legacy you can leave. But one step further, life insurance. Very simple way to pass on wealth, okay? It is the most efficient way to protect your legacy because the money from life insurance passes on to your family tax-free. Okay, there is direct beneficiaries, so it goes directly where you want. I would definitely say do a little bit of estate planning. Get yourself a good family trust or a living trust that has instructions of how you want your estate handled and how you want your money handled after you're gone. It's like a set of instructions from the grave. But life insurance, whether it's term insurance or specially designed whole life or a combination of both, which is what I would recommend, that is going to be your best source for passing wealth on to the next generation so they can maintain their lifestyle, pay off any debts that are outstanding from your whatever purchases or whatever you've done in your life. But I think that is definitely the way to look at legacy. First and foremost, legacy should not be the things, it should be the wisdom you pass on. Secondarily, life insurance absolutely should be part of every single person's legacy plan because it is the most efficient and tax-efficient way to pass money down. So that's all I wanted to do is just hit 5 questions that we hear every single week. Now, the answers come with many different scenarios, right? So your situation is probably different than the next person's. So take these answers that I just gave you with a grain of salt, but just formulate your own opinion or your own path based on your situations. Jump on a call with us. You can always give us a buzz, 866-329-BYOB, or you can book a call. There's a link right up in the description of this. You can book a call with us. We'd be happy to walk through your situation, find out what's going on and help you solve your problem because that's what we do every single day. We solve people's money problems. But I wanted to just say thank you for joining me. And also I want to give you another video that I think will serve all of you well. This one right here, The Secrets of the Rich. It's a great foundational video that plays into all of these questions that we just went over, from paying off debt to getting all the money back for every car you buy, drive, and own, and to building wealth while doing it. Thanks for joining me for this short and simple video. We'll see you on the next one.